Good evening, everyone. I'm Kathy Evans, guest host in for Mike Haynie, who has the night off. March is Women's Month, and we have three beautiful young women with us this evening to discuss their journey as they become part of women's history. Don't go anywhere, stay tuned, and come right back. Good evening again, and welcome to 60 Minutes in Black America. Once again, as usual, thank you, Mike, for this opportunity. It is not taken lightly or anything on my part. Also, we want to thank you, viewers, for watching. As Mike says, we get hundreds of viewers, and we had over 1,500 views across all of our platforms. And he is just so grateful to each of you. So please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Today, we will be celebrating Women's History Month. The theme for this year's Women's History Month is celebrating women who tell our stories. As I mentioned earlier, we are here to celebrate Women's History Month. For those of you who do not know, National Women's History Month is a celebration of women's contribution to history, culture, and society. It has been observed annually in the month of March in the United States since 1987. While the impact of all women is important, the impact of all women is important, but today we will be focusing on African American women because this month is about honoring magnificent ladies. We don't want to forget about the Ida B. Wells or the Maya Angelos or Nina Simone's. But my guests for today are three ladies who I have personally seen grow into beautiful, beautiful African American women. But before I bring them out, I would like to show you this clip on how this other beautiful woman shared her journey during this Women's History Month. Production team, can you please roll that clip?
My story started at Littler nearly 20 years ago. I recall just always having a passion for litigation and trying cases, but having small kids that has its challenges. And I recall an instance when Connie Michaels, a fellow shareholder at the firm, came to me, or actually I went to her, and it was so beautiful because you can always go to your mentors. There's always mentors available to you. And there's always this particular female mentors who are always available to me. And they always had an open door and they always had sage advice. And I needed to hear that advice. And she told me,
Thank you, production team.
expects you to make the sacrifice of your family for work. And I really needed to hear that because it just stripped away that guilt that young mothers have sometimes. And I was able to find that balance. And because I felt like I was supported by the firm, I was able to not just be a better mother, but be a better lawyer. And that's been reflected in my success here at Littler.
Thank you, production team. I was trying to decide how I was going to introduce these ladies individually, but you know what? Let's bring them all in at the same time, please, production team. Hi, Myra. Hi,
Hi.
Briahna.
Hi.
Hi, Jessica. So I was looking at your bios, so I was going to give all these introductions about each one of you, but I'm going to have you introduce yourself to our viewers. Myra, who is a hotel executive, can you tell our viewers about yourself?
Sure. My name is Myra Haynie. I work in a hotel as an assistant general manager. I started out about 16 years ago as a front desk agent. I've definitely went through the ranks and have elevated to where I am now as an assistant general manager. Definitely was not easy, but with guidership, with leadership and guidance, I've gotten to where I am now.
Thank you, Myra. Jessica?
Hi, everyone. I'm Jessica Green. I have been working for over 10 years in the banking industry. I have had so many different experiences, so many women who have poured into me throughout my career and my life in general. So I'm just happy today to kind of just talk about that this evening.
Thank you, Jessica. Briahna?
Hi, everyone. I am a new author as of September of last year. My book is about mental health and encouraging women to, and not just women, all people really, to express how they feel, give them a chance to journal and really see what's going on inside of them. Not only that, but I'm a mental health advocate. I have my bachelor's degree in psychology, and I'm currently working to get my master's in applied psychology. So I'm just happy to be here with you guys.
Thank you, Briahna. Before we go a little bit further, Briahna, would you share us about your book? And the production team, can you show us the cover?
Sure. So my book is both a book to read as well as a journal for people who may not have tried it before. Basically, I talk about different experiences that I've gone through in my life. I have my own personal journal entries from that time so people can see how I'm really feeling, my thoughts during that time. And then after that, I have something encouraging or an explanation of how I got through it, or if I'm still dealing with it, an explanation on how I'm dealing with it and coping with it and working through it. And there are also some mental health tips in there to do some of the things that I talk about. For example, I talk about releasing. And so later on in the book, you'll get a tip or two on how to do that and apply that to life.
Wow, that's great. So can you give us a website, or where can they order this book?
Sure. So I actually do have a website. It's a Wix website. I believe it might be streaming around the bottom soon. But I also have my book on Amazon. And if you can't find it on Amazon or you're having trouble, you can also find it. There's a link on the website as well.
Great. Congratulations on your book. That's a very, very well. And Jessica, I know you mentioned that you were in the banking industry. Now, is that just the bank incorporated, or I know you're a CPA. Do you help people personally with their banking and financial needs?
So just a little bit about me. In terms of banking specifically, I'm a certified financial services auditor and a certified internal auditor. So in terms of risk management, all of the banks and financial institutions that I've supported over the last couple of years have always been on the risk management side. So I'm very familiar with a lot of products and things of that nature. But in terms of day-to-day, one-on-one with folks from a consumer banking perspective, that's not really my wheelhouse, but I definitely have good contacts and people I can refer to, especially women who are really involved in that space in terms of banking.
Oh, good. Well, thank you. Thank you. And Myra, with the hotel, I know you're, hospitality. So I know you're dealing with all type of people in the hotel industry. Is there something that pushes you and drive you to continue to deal with all those people? Because you're dealing with so many personalities and every day.
You are absolutely right. I do deal with a lot of personalities on a daily basis, but that is what keeps me going, and that's what keeps me in the hospitality industry. I like to make a lot of connections. I like to meet a lot of people, but most importantly, I like to help everybody. I like to do the best I can to be that token to assist anyone that I can, whether it's internal or whether it's external. So I do meet a lot of people on a daily basis. You never know what people are traveling for. You never know what they have going on in their lives. But I'm that person that create that connection with them in order to make a difference in why they're traveling.
Wow, great. Woohoo, tourism. Sorry, that's just a personal push. So, as I was saying earlier, I was looking through all your bios, and I can tell that each of you are continuing to strive for more. You just want more. So, today, I just would like you to take our viewers through your influences, your journeys, and your contributions. So, with that said, let's get started with some questions. So, my first question I want to talk about is around the contribution of history with women in history. Now, when you think about Natural Women's History Month and the contribution that African American women have made, which African American has influenced you the most or impact your life's journey? Now, we all are familiar with the Harriet Tubmans, the Rosa Parks, and the Sojourner Truth. Now, so I want you ladies to think outside the box when thinking of this person. Myra.
Okay. I would say not necessarily history, but I do take a special liking to Oprah Winfrey because she has definitely paved the way for a lot of things, especially going through majority of the obstacles that she went through. And she's, such an amazing role model, especially to women, because she's been told no. She's faced adversities, and she still was able to rise above whatever she went through and still make a difference and be able to use her platform to make a difference as well.
Thank you. Great person. Oprah is a great person. So I have a part B to that question, but before I go to that part B, I want to get the other ladies' answers to that question. So Jessica, who would be that African American woman who has influenced you the most and impacted your life's journey?
So this one came to me actually in my days in Howard University. We were doing, I can't remember the assignment, but long story short, I found out about a woman. Her name was Maggie Lena Walker. A lot of people do not know Maggie Lena Walker was actually the first woman. She was an African-American woman in Richmond, Virginia, who chartered the first bank. So I stand on the heels of Maggie, right? If Maggie wouldn't have opened that door of opportunity when you think about banking, specifically for women, but then also African-American women, she is definitely someone that I look up to. And one of her famous quotes that always sticks with me, and I actually have it in my office, the quote that she has basically says that if you love your race, you have to show it in your practice. And so I think about that every single day when I'm working, and then also when I'm choosing to support businesses and just even the companies you work for, right? Like it's practice. You have to really think about how you're bettering your race. So for me, it's definitely Maggie.
Wow, great answer. Thank you. Hey, my viewers, did you know about Maggie Walker? I didn't. So, Briahna, who would that person be in your life that was impactful in your life's journey?
So you said think outside the box, and this might be outside the box for some people, and some people might think it's a little cliche or corny, but honestly, I would say my mother. And I say that not just because, she's my mother and I love her, but well, my mom, along with my dad, the parenting styles that they had with me, I wasn't disrespectful, but they allowed me to have an opinion, and that let me have an opinion in other areas of my life. It helped me to be able to speak up with whether I agree with something, I didn't agree with something. My mom has had a lot of adversity in her life. She's been told a lot. She's a Black woman in America, but she continued to persevere, and she's still growing even to this day. And I admire her for that. I admire her pushing through everything that she's gone through and still being a kind and caring person as well, because a lot of times we let people change us depending on how they treat us, but she has always remained consistent and the same. And so I say my mother.
Good answer. So holding on to that same question, and the person you told me who has impacted your life journey, what obstacles did you say this person may have faced, and that you are probably still facing those same obstacles today? Jessica?
So that's a good one. So obviously Maggie faced a lot of obstacles that I'm blessed not to face, right? She's chartered a bank in 1903. But what I will say is some of the obstacles that that I face, that she probably faced as well, is a perception, right? The perception that women sometimes cannot lead, the perception that women do not have the ability, right? Because of families or whatever else that's happening. Just having to balance it all, right? Like I think Briahna talked about it too. As a woman, you have to try to be both, right? In today's society, you have to be a mom, you have to be a wife, and you also have to be a rock star professional, sometimes even better than your male peers. And so I think that is an area, especially as we talk about Women History Month, that I can definitely say I'm probably still facing that, similar to what Maggie faced, and also racial injustices too. We see that in all of our industries, but we definitely still see it from a financial perspective.
Yeah. Briahna.
So on the heels of what Jessica said, facing that adversity and things like that, my mom has worked in various professional settings in hospitals and in administration and things like that. So she faced some of what Jessica was talking about, the being looked down on or having to do it all. So in that aspect, I still believe that is very true to this day. I'm transitioning, but currently working in an administrative hospital field as well. And so I see that. And sometimes people think that they can put duties and things on you that have nothing to do with your job description just because you're a woman. And so that's something that I face now to this day too. And just also thinking that you are going to lay down when you're told no, thinking that all they can say is no to you and you won't push back, you won't persevere, you won't find your own way to do things. So I think that is pretty prevalent too, and something we still have to face as Black women.
Thank you. Great answers. So Myra, Oprah was your person that you chose for your obstacles. So are there any obstacles that you are going through today that Oprah went through?
Absolutely. I would say much like the other young ladies, when they spoke of being a woman and you're not really being able to, or they don't think women should be successful as they are, or not as successful as men. And I definitely have faced that obstacle on numerous occasions. So that means as a woman, I have to go 10 times harder. I have to do things. You really can't make mistakes. You really can't show too much emotion when it comes down to being in corporate America. And even for Oprah Winfrey, just like I said, she's been told no before. She's been denied jobs. She's been fired from jobs before. And I have experienced that as well.
Thank you, ladies. That was very good. And I really appreciate you guys and the women that you spoke of and the issues and the obstacles that us Black women, continue to go through these same obstacles as these women in the past have, led the path for us to try to beat those obstacles. But hey, we're still climbing and we're going to keep striving and we're going to get better. So my next question, I want to talk about the culture. So culture can be defined as ways of life, including arts, beliefs, and institutions of a population that are passed down from generation to generation. Culture has been called the way of life for an entire society. As such, it includes codes of manners, dress, language, religion, and arts. As we think about culture, African American women had to make significant contributions in the fields of music, fashion, dance, film. When you think of these areas and the influence made by African American women, who do you consider a trailblazer? Jessica?
Oh, this is a tough one. In culture, because there's so many women are running through my mind right now because it's different ones. In terms of culture, I'm going to say, especially in the arts, I would have to mention, and my Howard folks would agree, I'm going to have to say Debbie Allen. I mean, what she did for Black television and the highlights that she made for Different World and what that did from producing it and really highlighting the Black culture from an HBCU perspective. I don't think we give her enough credit. And what that did for us as a culture and as a people. So I'm going to say from the arts perspective, I definitely would give that to Debbie Allen.
Wow, good choice. Myra?
I would say currently, I would probably have to go with, I would say probably at this moment Beyonce, because she does a lot for the culture. She actually is an amazing artist. She's an amazing trailblazer. And she's paving the way for a lot of the next generation. Mm-hmm. So I would definitely say, yeah, at this moment, her.
Good answer, Miss B. Thanks, Myra. Briahna, who's your trailblazer?
Honestly, I was struggling a little bit, like Jessica said, but the first person that came to mind was Brandy, actually. Brandy was the first Black Cinderella. And, that paved the way for so many young girls because, as young Black women, we didn't see a lot of that, in film and whatnot. So she opened the door for a lot of little girls to see a princess that looked like them. And not only that, but sometime after she did hers, Keke Palmer also played Cinderella on Broadway. And then years later, Disney got their first Black princess, Tiana from Princess and the Frog. So I think that Brandy is one of those people that paved the way for a lot of young Black women today in culture.
Thank you. Great answers, ladies. So now we talked about the culture. So now I want to talk about society. Because Women's History Month was all about the culture, the society, and the culture and the history. So having an impact on society is very important. The following African American women have been able to accomplish this task. Women such as Stacey Abrams, Kamala Harris, another HBCU Jessica before you say it, Michelle Obama, and Serena Williams, just to name a few who are known worldwide. So my question to you ladies, what characteristics do you think they amplify which have enabled them to become successful and make an impact on society? Briahna?
A lot of different characteristics come to mind, but I think 3 prominent ones that I'm going to say is that they had to be resilient, authentic, and determined. And I say those 3 because as we've been talking about, as being a Black woman, you have to be resilient in the things that you face, the adversity that you face, whether it's a flat out no, whether it's people's perspectives of you and expectations, unrealistic expectations, so many different things that they have had to face, that we've all had to face, so that they really had to be resilient to get to where they are today, to rise to the top, to keep pushing. I say authentic because each 3 of those women are themselves. They have confidence in who they are. They don't change up for anybody. They don't change based on what society thinks they possibly should be, and that's also how they got to where they are today. They didn't conform to what people thought they should be. They stayed true to who they were. And I say determined because, again, pairing that with being resilient, even if you are getting opportunities, even if you had a silver spoon handed to you, things still take determination to get them done because things are hard work, going through the process of, say, being an author, or Michelle Obama has a podcast, different things that they are doing, Serena Williams with her tennis, all of these things going through the process takes determination and work to see it through, even if the people around you are making it the easiest. So that's what I would say, those 3.
Wow. That's great how you broke all that down. Myra?
Okay, I would have to say the characteristics that I think they possess is outspoken, being honest, and also being aware. And I say outspoken because you can't be timid. You have to be outspoken when you're speaking up for the culture and when you're going up
Yes.
against so many things in society. You have to be able to say what you mean and stand on exactly what you said and be outspoken with it and not be afraid to stand up and to speak on what it is that you have to say and the purpose um, of what you're going after. Also, I would say they're honest. You have to exemplify honesty as well when you're doing this because you can't be outspoken and not be honest. You can't stand for something and you're not being truthful about what you're standing on. And I would say aware. You have to be aware of everything going on in society, everything going on, whether it's in politics or whether it's in hospitals, wherever it is, you have to be aware of whatever's going on so that you can speak on these things with honesty.
Great. Thank you, Myra, for great words. I like those. Jessica?
Okay, so they took like all the good ones, but one thing I'm gonna say about all of these women, and Carla Harris, who works at Morgan Stanley, she's a well-known banker on Wall Street, African-American woman. One thing she says is that you have to own your power. And all three of those women own their power. And she also says owning your power and making sure not to dim your light. And all three of those women do just that, right? Like Kamala Harris knew what she wanted. She owned her power and she walked in her truth. And I think what you can see with all of those women is that no matter what they had to overcome, whatever they wanted to seek out in the world, they did that and they owned their power and they didn't also dim their light. And you can see that also too with the decisions that they made both personally and professionally. They always made something, a crucial decision that made sense to them, and they stuck with it and they continued to, like I said, own their power and not to dim their light. So to me, those are the two characteristics that I see through all of those women.
Wow, that's great. And I just want all you ladies to know, you guys, you have the power. You have power. And I saw a question in the chat before I go to my next question for you ladies. Do you prefer the word to be called African American or Black? Anybody want to answer that? All three? Myra.
I would prefer, since those are the two options, to be called African American because Black is a color to me. It's definitely a color. I would prefer to be called African American or melanated.
Good answer. Briahna.
I personally have never really had a preference. I'll say I think that it's really about how you use it. What is your intention behind saying it, calling me that? I don't mind being called a Black woman, but are you calling me a Black woman and meaning it to be demeaning? If that's the case for you, because you think that means that I'm less than, then no, don't call me that, call me what I am. But in a general sense, I don't really have a preference.
Jessica.
I would say I'm with Briahna. I usually don't have a preference. I do most of the time, however, refer to African American. I think Myra made a good point that sometimes it can just make it seem like it's a color and there's background, right? We have roots. We're African or of African descent. And so I do like to use that a lot more just so that I'm reminded and people are reminded of who I am as a person and what my identity includes.
Great. You are all such wonderful, beautiful African American women. So we're almost at the halfway point. Before I go to halfway point, I just want to ask one more question of you ladies. Now, I know you guys may have been in relationships, or you probably still are. Briahna, I know you're married. Jessica's congratulations. I know you're getting ready to get married in July. So with your relationships with a significant other, what does it look like for that spousal or that other significant other support while you're juggling so many hats in the corporate world? Jessica.
For me, this has been something that I think a lot of women, I'm 32. So, for a lot of women, especially in this generation, there's been a lot of conversation of what those relationships look like as Black women, especially continue to move up in corporate ladder. I think the key is it all goes back to the dimming of your light. One thing that I struggled with in the beginning is making sure that I found a partner who was confident in themselves, but also confident in me. And I think a lot of times as African-American women, we feel the need sometimes to, like Carla Harris says, dim our light. And so it was very important for me, and I'm blessed that my fiance isn't someone that I feel like I need to dim my light. I feel like my fiance is actually someone who helps to shine my light or help me brighten it. And so I would say for me, that has been the biggest thing that a lot of my friends have struggled with, in all candidacy and honesty. And I think that's something Black women continue to struggle with, is that balance of feeling that they can really walk in their power and feel a level of support from their partner.
Wow, good, great answer. Myra, would you like to add anything onto that?
Yes, much like Jessica said, making sure you have a partner that does not dim your light, however, but will support you in whatever decision you decide to make. And it doesn't just look like, okay, well, you go ahead and go to work, but it also looks like, well, maybe one day you work in late and I'll take care of the children for you, or I'll cook dinner, or I'll do these things. Support shows up in more way than just making sure that you are not, dimming yourself or dumbing yourself down because you're a woman. It's their support by them pouring into you as well, and making sure that you learn everything you need to learn by maybe giving you time off to do what you need to do. Because sometimes it is hard to be a full-time employee or in the corporate world and then still have to come home and be a spouse or be a mom. And it's honestly a 24-hour job. So making sure that you have a partner that definitely supports you in all ways, in all areas of your life, while you're deciding to pursue whatever aspirations and dreams you have.
Great. Briahna, can you add on to that with having that spousal support when you're juggling the work, you're juggling the children? So
yeah, absolutely. I agree with both Jessica and Myra, having someone who is with you and encourages you and supports you in your decisions that you decide to make, who helps you. Like, for example, I'm going to a women's conference to be a vendor in Louisiana in May. And when I was thinking about it, I told my husband, I was like, I'm thinking about doing this. How do you feel about it? Immediately, he says, do it. How are we figuring it out? How are we going to get it done? So having someone that supports you to that end and that aspect. And also, like Myra was saying, having someone who can take care of the kids if that's what you need at that time, who maybe you're taking care of the kids and they're doing the housework, they're doing the dishes, they're cleaning, being that support in whatever you need. But I think that for everyone, it's generally an asking of what do you need, because everyone is in different phases of their life. Everyone has different things they have to juggle. And so the easiest way to support and help out and be a supportive spouse is just asking your partner, what do you need from me? How can I help you? What would be the most beneficial to you so that you can do what you need to do?
Great answers, ladies. And yes, you got to make sure you have that support system, and that support system needs to start at home with that significant other. So I know I said I was going to go to, because we're past the halfway mark, but I saw a question in the chat that I want to get answered since we mentioned those words at the beginning. They want to know, what do you ladies mean by dim your light? So I think Myra, I think you might have mentioned it, and I think Jessica might have mentioned. I can't remember. But what does that mean?
Someone said, like, I did to Tina. I mean, yes, but
so what do you? Yes. So if you can explain to the viewers, what do you mean by that? I mean, yeah, what do you mean, you young ladies mean by that? Because I'm older than you guys, so I don't know either. But go ahead.
Like, I give you the opportunity to flourish. It's keeping you within that box of yourself where if you want to go out here and try something different, like say if I wanted to jump out here and say, okay, well, I don't want to do hospitality, I want to go somewhere else. But someone tries to keep me in that box of hospitality. Oh, well, no, I don't think you can do that. So that's kind of like dimming your light and not letting you shine and be the best person that you can be to your fullest potential.
Yes. Jessica, Briahna, do you want to add anything onto that, dimming your light?
Yeah, that's what I would say, what Myra's mentioning with dimming the light. One thing I'd also add about dimming the light is because a lot of times we center it around relationships, but sometimes you can dim your light yourself. Sometimes that's without having the right level of
Great.
self-esteem. That sometimes it can be past traumas, right? It can be
Yes.
things that have happened to you in your past that make you feel like you just don't even have a light. So I think it's a very complex topic that a lot of women and men face throughout their careers and just in life in general. I think you go through seasons where you may need to change the light bulb, right? You may need to figure out what your new light looks like, and that's okay. But I think it is important to be in tune. Full transparency, I've had phases in my life where I look back and I realize, you know what, I dimmed my light there. Or I'm walking in a space, whether it's a new job, a new experience, a new exposure to people, where you may dim your light. I think a lot of times Black women, especially, I've noticed this a lot as I moved up in my career and have done a lot of interviewing. Black women are a lot more likely to dim their light in interviews. So that means when you're having conversations, you're not as vocal about your successes or your wins as maybe your counterparts or people that are not a female or a woman. Dimming your light can come in different forms, but a lot of times we see it a lot, especially with African-American women. We do dim our light more than other people.
Briahna, before you answer that, so when you say, especially with us Black women, when we go into interviews, is it that us not having that self-confidence or having that power?
It's both. I mean, I've been in interviews where it has been clear to me that, like, on paper, you're a rock star, but you don't know that you're a rock star. So you come to the interview, some people say, it's a balance, right, between being confident and arrogant, right? Sometimes we just come in and we're not letting people know, like, this is who I am. I'm Jessica Green. I have 10 years of experience. I've worked at this place, and that place, and this is what I'm worth. And I think that's just societal, right? Like, we've been put in places where we've never been able to really stand in our truth and who we are as women. But a lot of times, specifically when it comes to interviews and just interactions in general, we fail in that piece of really showing who we are and our value.
Thank you for the answer. Briahna, do you want to add anything to dim your light?
Yeah, so I've agreed with everyone, and I've actually experienced it myself as well in different aspects. And when I say different aspects, I mean dimming my own light for someone else. And so for the relationship aspect in previous relationships, looking back, I can see that I dimmed my light in order to focus on them. So for me, dimming your light can also look like not focusing on yourself, not being present with yourself, not being present in your emotions, your thoughts, your feelings, how you feel in the space that you're in. And so, but sometimes we can do it by accident and we can do it with good intentions. And so for me, in a specific time that I'm thinking about, I didn't even notice I was doing it, but I was doing it to help him because I so wanted to focus on helping him and being his supporter. But sometimes we take that too far and we don't focus on ourselves, and we put ourselves on the back burner and we put everyone before us and we never come back to us. So in that instance, yes, that's definitely something that I've done, but also you can lose your light or dim your light in the roles that you just have in life. So for being a mom, I know a lot of moms have experienced losing yourself in just being a mother. And at no point in time when you have kids, are you just a mother. You are still a sister, a wife, an artist if you're an artist. All the areas of your life, the facets of your life that you had before children, those still exist. And a lot of times we have to fight to feel that way. A lot of times we have to fight to still feel like women. Sometimes you just feel like a mom, or if you're breastfeeding, sometimes you just feel like a piece of meat, you just serve everyone, So for me, dimming your light can come in different aspects, like it was said before. And I think one way to combat that is just being present with yourself in anything that you're doing. So whether it's that interview, Jessica, that you were talking about, being present with yourself can look like seeing that you're shrinking and talking to yourself a little bit like, wait a minute, I'm not arrogant, but I'm pretty confident. I'm a pretty good pick for this. I've done a lot. I've accomplished a lot, so always being present with yourself, I think, and reminding yourself of who you are can help combat that.
Yes, and I think
it comes as well from being told a lot of times to be humble.
Yes.
To be humble, to humble yourself. And I think that if you remove that from us as melanated women by saying, oh, well, you need to humble yourself, then maybe we'll have the confidence to be a little more outspoken, to know what we bring to the table, to know to negotiate these deals when someone's offering you a certain pay, you know you're worth so much more than that. So sometimes it's not always good to just be humble. Sometimes it's good to go out here and say, look, this is what I want. This is what I know I deserve. And this is what I'm going to go get. And if you can't give me what I'm asking for, then I need to take it to somebody else who's going to appreciate this from me.
Yes. Exactly. And everybody else does it. So why can't we do it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's right. Remember, you have power. You have the power and you're in control.
And it's no hard feelings either. Don't label me as combative or argumentative because you can't give me what I want. There's no hard feelings. Or you can't do that. Okay, on to the next.
Yes. Well, ladies, we're at the halfway mark. Don't you ladies go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. I'll be back with you. So we're at our halfway point, and I just want to let you know that to stay tuned to Mike's Wake Up Baltimore tomorrow morning on all these same platforms at 7:30 a.m. It's all Baltimore and it's all positive. Mike will be back next week, and his topic of discussion will be the banking crisis in America. So joining Mike will be financial experts Jamie Miner from Rhode Island and Dr. Kamal Hubbard from California, giving their perspective on the financial climate in the United States of America. So make sure you tune in and be back here at 6 p.m. next week for Mike on banking crisis in America. So let's bring my young, beautiful ladies back in. I just want to let you ladies know that I still have all this paper and I have not even gotten past half of my questions. So we're going to rock and roll, okay? So my next question to you ladies, have you embraced your success well? Did you feel like I could have done better, or is this really happening to me? Jessica?
Oh, okay.
For me, it is definitely first of all, because of the God that I serve, I know that it's not me, it's him. So I have to start there. But then what I will say too is that for me, it's always a aha moment for me. Just seeing how I got to where I am, to be a director, to be at a top firm, to be doing what I love to do, which is working with financial products, but also looking at them from a risk perspective, and now being a part of the innovation piece has been a very exciting journey. I think about, because it's been 10 years that I've been out here in Chicago, and I think about the young girl who left Howard, who was at a consulting firm for a year and a half and hated it. I loved traveling, but I hated I learned. It was the first experience I had, right? Growing up, I always was in this experience where I was only a Black person, right? But there were other girls. So then it shifted to go into banking, where it's like, you're not only the only Black person. Now, sometimes you may be the only female on the team. And so then that was a whole new dynamic for me. And so it is definitely an aha moment to now be in a place where I'm able to be that mentor that mentors were for me, for younger girls when they come out of college and are starting at our firm or even starting at firms I used to work at, to really be that support for them, because I needed that when I was first starting out. So it definitely is an aha moment. I'm thankful every day and excited for whatever happens next.
Briahna?
Yeah, sometimes it's still surreal for me. I have to remind myself that I am an author, and to say that you are an author, and that is so crazy for me to think sometimes. And sometimes I am reminded by other people, because I'm surrounded by people who want to do amazing things, women who want to do amazing things, such as write books and have their own businesses and things like that as well. And to have some of those people say that, you know, I inspired them to continue on and push through. And even the people that have read my book, you know, I have had feedback and say, you inspired me to get help. You inspired me to work on my mental health. You know, those things are almost surreal to me. It's like seeing your dream or your work actually come to fruition, right? Because you have a dream and you have a goal. And even if you're working towards it, no matter how long it takes, sometimes you're wondering, are you going to reach that goal? And if you reach it, is it relating to people how you want it to be? And so I'm seeing that through my book. I call it You Are Not Alone because I really wanted people to know and see and feel that they're not alone in the situations that they face in life, the emotions that they feel, the thoughts that they have. And to have people come to me and say that that's really what they're getting from it, it's really helping them, that is a huge deal for me. And I'm very grateful for that.
Myra?
In terms of career-wise, I do feel like I'm exactly where I need to be in the moment. And much like Jessica said, when you love what you do, it's not really a job. You know, you go to work, of course you face obstacles, of course you face different situations that need special handling. However, sometimes when one door closes, another one opens for you.
Amen.
And
Yes, it does.
am I hard on myself at times where I'm like, oh my goodness, I should be further than I should be? Of course, who isn't? But that's just the drive you need to get to where you want to go and to set your goals to accomplish what it is that you want to accomplish in the near future. So I feel like I'm right where I am. I'm right where I need to be in this moment. And I have definitely faced the obstacles and have gotten a second chance to get to where I am now. So I feel like it's more so like, yeah, I'm where I deserve to be. This is where I need to be right now.
Yes.
And I'm moving forward and being better.
Amen. And I know Jessica mentioned, you know, the God we serve. So I just want to point this question because I know you all are women of faith. I know you all are women of faith. But were you always confident in the career?
No.
Absolutely not.
I have thought about walking in and walking out so many times. I cannot tell you. It has been like, I can't do this today. But I know when you go to work, it's like you're on stage, you know, especially when you deal with people, when you're in a people business. And it doesn't stop at you. You know, you have somebody's life to change. You have something to do. You have a mission to accomplish, you know. So it's like when you go to work, you're on stage. I tell employees all the time, but when you come to work, you're on stage. So whatever issues you have going on, leave it outside and then come in here and do your job, okay? But yeah, there's been plenty of times I've walked in like, I can't do this. No.
Yeah.
You pray on it. You definitely pray on it and you get the strength you need to move forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I dealt with that before I wrote my book and after. So while writing the book, you know, this is something that God gave to me to do. He gave me the outline. He gave me the purpose and the reason behind it. And so because a lot of each chapter has my personal journal entry, that means that I had to go through my journal, decide what topics to write, what things to put in there. And it is ironic that the nature of my book is me being vulnerable. However, as a person, I absolutely hate being vulnerable. So going through and picking some chapters, I'm like, Lord, you sure you want me to say that? You want me to put that in there? For real? You sure? I don't know about that. So, but having the faith and to know that, you know, it's what is needed, it's going to help someone, and it's not going to change who you are because of that. Because sometimes we feel like when people have a different perception of us based on what we've been through, it then changes who we are. But that's not true. Someone's perception of you and who you are two different things. And so that's aspect, yes, I dealt with whether I really wanted to publish it or not. But also even after that, because I have a full-time job, along with being an author, along with trying to do more speaking engagements and things like that, along with encouraging TikTok videos, I kind of do all of that. It's like these things on the side that have nothing to do with my everyday job. So that requires extra work. And like we talked about, I'm also a wife. I'm also a mom. So some days I'm like, I don't even really feel like doing that. I don't feel like working on that. I wrote the book. It's there. I don't have to do anything else. But really pushing myself because I know that I have more to do and more to give and that I'm purposed to do more. So like Myra said, praying for strength, praying for direction and purpose, and remembering why you're doing what you're doing.
Amen. Go buy that book, guys. Jessica?
For me, there was working in financial services is a stressful industry. And so for my colleagues who don't have faith, I honestly don't know how they do it because it's turbulent. There's always something happening, right? Like Mike's going to talk next week probably about SVP Bank and the impact that had. That had a direct impact to me and some of the things that happened. Especially with me, I have worked at about 5 companies, right? Out of the 5, 4 have had layoffs at some point while I was there. So that just puts in perspective for you how real and how close I've been to seeing what it's like to have something and then have nothing. I've been fortunate enough never to be laid off. So that's me walking in the truth, right? Knowing that I'm covered. When God places me at a place, is a reason that I'm supposed to be there. But it is challenging. So I make the conscious decision to do a couple of things. I block off on my calendar, on my work calendar. I have it where it says morning devotional. So between the hours of 8 and 9, I will not take meetings. And that's just because if I'm not right spiritually and mentally, I cannot start the day. And then from there, I also have learned when you're a faith person working in an environment that can be very toxic, it goes back to what we were saying earlier about being your authentic self. So I have to sometimes have conversations with myself, and I say it all the time. Is it something that needs to be said? Is it something that needs to be said now? And is it something that needs to be said by you? And the reason why I have to do that is because I have to check myself, because I know that I'm a Christian. And I know that I have a certain integrity that I want to uphold. Anytime that I feel like my job or my career or even the firm is not moving in the direction that aligns with who I am as a person, then I know it's time for me to go. So I would say faith definitely, it has evolved, right? When you're first starting out, right, you just want to check and you want to be able to pay bills. But as you have that opportunity and you're blessed and fortunate enough, you can truly walk in a space of, I'm going to do this or I'm not going to do this because it aligns with who I am as a person. Great.
Myra, anything you want to add?
Nothing additional.
Okay. All right. So you're talking about the aspects of your office and juggling life. What do you guys do specifically? I know, Jessica, you're talking about your devotions in the morning, but besides your devotions, what is it that you ladies do just to unplug yourselves from your career, from your job that day? Is there anything that you just, okay, let me unplug. I need to do this. I need to do that. Tell me, just give us one thing that you do to unplug. Briahna.
I like taking hot showers or baths. Sometimes if I take a bath, then I shower after anyway. So hot showers or hot baths in the dark with my candles and my music playing. Sometimes my music is playing, sometimes it's silent, and it depends on how I'm feeling. But that's definitely a stress reliever for me.
Good unplug. I like that one. Myra?
A lot of times I like to cook. I love cooking. I love being in the kitchen because that's another form of expression. So I'll come home and I'll put everybody out of the kitchen, do something, and then I'll cook.
Good. All right, the hot showers with the candles in the dark. Okay, we got the cooking going on. All right, Jess, what you got going, girl? What you unplugging?
So usually when I unplug, I'm not a big TV person. So I only really give myself an hour a day to watch TV. So I don't watch the news either. So I don't get up in the morning and do the whole news thing. It's just too toxic for me. But I will at night, I'll allow myself 1 hour to watch some form of reality TV. Just because I just want to clear my mind. It's kind of noise in the background. It's nothing real. It's a fake reality, you know. So like right now, I'm obsessed with Love Is Blind, and I'll watch that till it ends. But that's kind of what I do. But I only give myself an hour a day because I don't want to spend my whole, evening, watching TV. But I will give an hour to watch something like reality TV.
Oh, good. So I know that you might have some low moments when it comes to making those corporate decisions, writing those books. What is the next level of creativity or dynamic decision that you may have to make, knowing that you're right in that low moment? How do you handle that to get yourself out of that low moment, knowing, hey, I'm this hotel executive, I got to make this decision. Hey, I'm this risk management person, I got to make this decision. I'm in a low moment, I'm in a low pay place right now. Oh my gosh, I don't even know what words to write down for this book, but I know what I want to say. Not right now. How do you handle those low moments? All right, Jess.
Okay, so for me, and I've actually had to deal with this several times when we're doing product innovation. So if we're looking at a product that we want to roll out, I have to think about it from all angles, which is a nice part of my job because it makes me think about, okay, how is the person going to respond to what I'm about to say? And then to make sure that they're comfortable and I'm comfortable with the decision. So I will play devil's advocate, but then I get to a point where I have to be confident in the decision. And then once I'm confident, I move on. But I at least walk around and spend some time just going back and forth on the strategy and how I want to approach it.
Oh, okay. Myra?
Okay, so I do stop and I think before I try to react to different situations and circumstances, because I do know some decisions that I make could be very hard decisions. But I do know that if I do have to make a tough decision, I know that I've given everything that I could before I have to make that actual decision. So when I do finally make the decision, I don't feel bad because I did everything I could to avoid it. So I do take a moment to think about it, but I don't think too hard because it has to get done. The decision has to get made either way.
Yeah. Briahna?
So for me, I know that what I'm doing now is connected to walking in my purpose that God has given me. And so a lot of the times, because of the nature of what I do, whether it's writing, whether it's a post, whether it's a TikTok video, what have you, a lot of the times it's me turning what I'm dealing with and turning it into how it can help someone else, because someone else in the world is dealing with it too. Someone else also feels like, I don't know what to do. How am I going to get through this? So, in all things that I pray before I do what I do. But if I am going through something, a lot of times I am led to share it and share about it and be real about it too. So that's something that a lot of people don't do. They either are on social media pretending like life is great, or they kind of hint at, oh, I'm going through this, but I'm still standing, which is okay. But sometimes people need to see the raw. They need to see that I am going through this. I don't know how I'm going to get through it. I am stuck in this rut, but I'm also still trying to help myself get through it and pray to God to ask him to help me to get through it and do what I need to do to get through it. But letting people in and seeing those low moments until it turns around, until I do whatever I feel led to do until it gets better, working through it.
Well, we're almost at our end point, but we're going to go over today. So production team, my apologies. I have a couple more questions I want to get out of these ladies. My apologies. I know there's a show right afterwards, but I want to get two more questions in, please. Sorry. So my next question to you ladies is, and viewers, please bear with me because I know you're probably enjoying as much as I am. As a woman of color, what is your greatest lesson that you have learned? And what motivates you to excel? And then lastly, I want to know, what would you like to be your legacy or your footprint in history? So I know I said a whole lot, so I'll go through it again. What is your lesson? What is your greatest lesson you have learned? What motivates you to excel? And what would you like to be your legacy or your footprint in history? Briahna?
I think I would say one of the greatest lessons I've learned is rooted in something that I am better with now, but I struggled with a lot before, is don't let people change who you are. And so a lot of times we let the way people treat us dictate and change who we are as people, how we operate as people, how we share ourselves with the world. And so when I say that, I mean, for instance, I'm a very compassionate person. I'm a giver. And I know this about myself. And a lot of times people in my life take that for granted, don't show that appreciation back, don't give the love back that I give. And I struggle with letting that change me as a person and say, well, I'm just not going to be a loving person anymore. I'm not going to give anymore. I'm not going to do this, that, third to be compassionate. But I had to remind myself that no, you are who you are. And sometimes it just takes seeing who deserves the inner you and seeing who deserves a piece of you, that surface part of you. You know, maybe I can give some guidance, but not let them in my inner circle and to taint who I am. So for me, I would say that's one of the biggest lessons I've learned, is staying true to yourself and not letting how the world treats you dictate who you are. I would say that a legacy that I want to leave is knowing that it's okay to grow and get help and to need someone. Because a lot of times, and society pushes this thing of, I don't need anybody, I can do it myself. No, we were literally created to need other people. We were literally created to need each other, and that's okay to need someone. And if you feel like you don't have someone in that moment, sometimes it takes going to therapy, and sometimes your therapist can be that person until you get on your feet. Sometimes it takes just reaching out maybe to that person that you didn't think you might not vibe with, but didn't you really give them the chance? And sometimes they'll turn out to be that person for you. And sometimes it just takes cutting some people who had that closeness to you that don't need to be there anymore. Some people are in your life for seasons. And sometimes we try to keep people past those seasons, and those roots need to be cut. So that's the legacy I want to leave. I am very pro therapy. And so realizing that getting the help you need, the mental health, and knowing that it's okay to need someone, that's the legacy I want to leave. Oh, and I think the middle question was, how do you excel in the lesson that you learned? I think I got that right.
What motivates you to excel?
Oh, what motivates me?
One word. Yep. What up? Yep.
Okay. I would just say, well, I'm a mom, my family. I can't be, I can't expect them to be great and not show them what greatness might look like, not show them what persevering might look like, not show them how, what pushing through looks like in life, not showing them that even in highs and lows in life, you can be who you want to be who you're purposed to be. So I think that really motivates me to excel.
Jessica?
Ooh,
what's the greatest lesson you have learned being in the banking world?
So for the first one, I would say for me, what I've learned over the last couple of years is remembering your identity and being comfortable in your identity, knowing that your identity is going to change year from year, day to day, and owning that and being okay with knowing that I'm Jessica and this is who I am in the world and this is how I want to present myself. And to Briahna's point, not wanting to change that. I think that's for me the biggest thing that I learned. In terms of who does that for me, I think it's definitely family. I think for me, I'm always big on generational wealth. So for me, I've always wanted to do more than the generation behind me. So when I think about my great grandparents in particular, I know William Lewis was really big in investments. And so here I am, someone who's also big in investments. And I think about how he, you know, had all of these things he had purchased, and where would he have been today if he had the same privileges that I had? So that makes me think about that. And then I think for me, the type of booklet that I want to live is that she showed up. And so what that means to me is not just showing up at work, showing up for my family, showing up for my friends, and never people feeling like if they feel like they don't have anyone in the world, they at least know that they have a friend or a sister, or they have a daughter, or they know that Jessica's going to show up. And so for me, that's kind of where I would want my legacy to be.
Thank you. Myra, what is the greatest lesson you have learned, and what would you like your legacy to be?
The greatest lesson I've learned over the past few years in my career is to stand up for yourself, to stand up for what's right, and don't stand down regardless. If you feel some kind of way about something, if you know what you're going for is right, then you stand up for it, even if you're going to stand up by yourself for it. Because people will appreciate that, people will respect you, and it shows that you have a certain type of integrity about yourself where you are standing up and you're not going to back down at all. So that would be the greatest lesson that I've learned. And I would say the legacy that I want to leave behind is I want to be known as the one who did stand up, regardless, you know, when it comes down to whether it's my children and they see how I stood up for what was right, you know, even if it was by myself, make them feel confident when they get older to say, you know what, I want to stand up. That's something to teach them to do when they get older, to be honest, to have integrity, to do what's right at all times. So that's the legacy I want to leave behind, is just to do right and have integrity. And what motivates me to excel is my family. My children definitely motivate me to excel.
Oh, good. I know we're running over, so I just want to mention a couple of things, and then I have one more question I want to ask you guys, and we're going to close out tonight. I just want to mention, productions, can you just show this? It's a link that you can go on your free time, and it's called, it's happening July 27th. It's Black Women Equal Pay Day. It's to raise awareness around the world to impact the pay and inequities of Black women. It is imperative that we demand pay equality and equity to all Black women. So I just wanted to share this bit of information to you about this. I didn't even know this even existed. So it's on July 27th. So just one more thing I want to talk to you ladies about, and I know Orrin and them was like, hurry up, Kat. But there is also, I want to give you another tidbit of information. There's a research that's out there that talks about the gender pay. And that's what I want to talk to you lastly about, is the gender pay. And Jessica, I see you smiling. So I want to know, I went and looked, and it says, what causes gender pay? And this is what the research and the analysis say. They indicate, and I'm going to read this, that what causes the gender pay gap are systematic, meaning they stem from perceptions, conscious or unconscious, that people have about the value of women's work. Now, the value of women's work that are suited for them. And these perceptions lead to women being funneled, and we are funneled, into lower paying positions. Now, my question to you ladies, since you started your career and have you seen anything better with our pay with Black women? And I just want to mention this little piece of data that I found out, that Black women have the widest gender pay gap. Black women executives earn maybe 90 to 95 cents for every dollar, while their white male counterparts make. So what do you think about the gender pay? Not only are we like fighting against the white male with the pay, and we're doing the same job as the white male doing, but you also got to remember we're dealing with our white women as well. Between those two genders, the Black women have the big salary gap. So what do you think about that? And what do we as Black women need to do that we're not already doing to close that salary gap? And then we're going to end this show. You know what, Jessica, I'll let you go first.
For me, this has been a heavy conversation. A lot of folks have experienced it. I've experienced it myself. I think the biggest thing is being as informed as you can possibly be. So when it comes to jobs, especially now, I have been a lot more strategic than I was in the beginning. I think the beginning, you get to a point where you're just happy to have a seat at the table, as Shirley Chisholm would say. But now we're at a point where it's like, I'm at the table and I've been at the table. So now you need to know what I like to eat, which is the amount of money that I want to get paid. So you have to make sure that you're educated on what your worth is. So do benchmark analysis as much as possible. There's firms that'll do that for you. And also having, like you said in the beginning, not dimming your light. When you have that conversation with HR, it should be very clear of what you're bringing, and so that they know that, okay, I'm getting Jessica, and if I pay for Jessica, these are all of the things that come with her. Is how we can combat that. But also, Black women have to support other Black women and be comfortable in having that conversation. It is very taboo for African Americans to talk about money. For whatever reason, we don't like to have that conversation. But there have been times where I've reached out to friends at competitors and I'd say like, hey, I'm applying for this role. What should I expect to get paid? And if I had not had those conversations with mentors and friends, I would have been lowballed several times. But because I know that and I have a network that I feel comfortable to ask those questions with, I've found better success when it comes to pay equality. But it's definitely an ongoing conversation.
Yes. Myra?
I agree with Jessica 100%. Making sure that you are knowledgeable and educated about what you're going into during your interview. And also negotiating and knowing your worth. So when you go in and you know your worth and you're negotiating, you can tell them, well, this is what because the question that they ask you when you're in an interview is, how can you be an asset to the company? So at the end of the day, how can you be an asset to my financial well-being as well? So you know what you bring to the table, you tell them what you bring to the table, and this is what you want as pay. And just like she said, finances is a real taboo subject in the African American community. But we need to be more vocal about that, to educate the future generation about that, so they're not afraid to have these conversations. They're not afraid to say, well, this is what I want. I will not take any less than this. And if you can't offer this to me, then I'll go somewhere else and I'll take my services somewhere else and they'll pay me what I want. So I definitely think that's, and just like this conversation, African-American women or women, period, are the backbone in the community, in the society. So I do feel like we should be able to state what it is that we want and go after it and get it, whether it's financial or any other.
That's right. That's right.
So being educated, knowing what your worth, and making sure that we support each other as African-American women and take one hand and help someone else up the ladder as well.
That's right. Briahna, would you like to add a little bit to that? I'm coming on. The production team they're beeping me. Let's go.
Yeah, I'll keep it short. I'll say that I agree with everything everyone said, and I would say that just don't be desperate. Don't settle, even if you're in a space where you're like, I really need to make more. No, but you're going to create more problems in the future if you end up settling and taking something that you can't really live off of, something that you're not worth, versus waiting and looking for the thing that you want and letting them know, hey, this is what I expect, and if you can't pay me that, well then I'm sorry, wishing well to you, but go waiting on what your purpose to do and where your purpose to be, because that's what it all comes down to as well.
Wow. Well, thank you, ladies, again for joining me tonight. And thank you for sharing your success with us. I'm very proud of you all, and I want you all to continue to strive for more, because you do have the power. I encourage you all again to watch Mike's show, Wake Up Baltimore, tomorrow morning at 7:30 a.m. on these same platforms and social media platforms. Now, before I go, and I always got to say something last before I go, I would like to leave an encouraging word from our African-American woman, Michelle Obama, that she mentioned in her Democratic speech. She said, the only limit to the height of your achievements is the reach of your dreams and your willingness to work hard for them. I'm Kat Evans. I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. And thanks again for this edition of 60 Minutes in Black America. Have a good evening.